From Steph Curry throwing his mouthpiece into the crowd to Draymond Green being suspended for Game 5 of the 2016 NBA Finals, these are the most controversial moments in NBA playoff history. I wouldn't be any good at my job if I didn't start things off with Curry losing his cool against the Cavs. After going up 3-1 against Cleveland in the 2016 NBA Finals, it seemed as if the Warriors were going to win their second championship in a row. But then, LeBron James and Kyrie Irving went God mode, destroying the Warriors in Game 5. Bron and Kai carried that momentum into Game 6 as they were up by 12 with 4 minutes and 28 seconds to go. So, the Cavs were on the verge of forcing a Game 7. Curry was obviously pissed because Golden State shouldn't have been in that position at all. And then, the refs added fuel to the fire by calling a foul on Steph, leaving the two-time MVP fuming. The second he heard the refs blow the whistle, he tossed his mouthpiece straight into the crowd, and it hit a fan in attendance. The officials didn't waste any time before ejecting him. Curry never loses his cool, so NBA fans couldn't believe what they were witnessing. Steph apologized to the fan immediately, but many found it unacceptable for him to have done such a thing. Sure, players are allowed to lose their temper, but the fans should never be on the receiving end of it. That being said, it's not like the players are the only ones to lose their cool, because the fans do as well. The best example of this comes from the 2023 NBA playoffs. When the LA Lakers and Memphis Grizzlies faced off in the first round, things got really chippy. Not just between the players, but between the fans in attendance as well. Things got especially bad during Game 2 of the series, as a video surfaced online in which a Lakers fan can be seen absolutely destroying a Grizzlies fan. I mean, he showed no mercy, unleashing as many punches as he possibly could. It was brutal, and nobody even stepped in for the longest time. Everyone was divided on whose side to take because the LA fan was bigger and stronger, so he looked like he was being a bully for no reason. But at the same time, some speculated that the Grizzlies fan must have said something insanely out of pocket first. After all, nobody would act like that for no reason, especially in a public place. Whatever happened though, there's no doubt that the Lakers fan went way too far. But this LA supporter wasn't the only one who showed his wild side in the 2023 playoffs, because Draymond Green did too. In fact, he stomped his opponent. Unless you live under a rock, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. When the Warriors and the Kings matched up in the first round of the 2023 NBA playoffs, Draymond treated fans to one of his signature dirty plays. Golden State was down by 4 in Game 2 with a little over 7 minutes remaining. And after Sacramento missed a shot, Domantas Sabonis went crashing down. Unfortunately for him, he was in Green's way, so the 4-time champ stomped Sabonis right in the middle of his chest. The NBA world was furious because stepping on another player is never the answer, though there were some people who rose to Dre's defense. After watching the footage carefully, it was clear that Sabonis grabbed Green's leg first. And that's what prompted the 4-time champ to channel his inner Seth Rollins. But the refs had seen enough, so they handed Dre a flagrant 2 foul and suspended him for Game 3 of the series. While lots of fans were happy to hear the punishment, others found it stupid since Sabonis was the one who started it. Either way, Green could have handled the situation better. Though, let's not act like it's only the players and the fans who cause controversy in the playoffs. After all, the NBA refs have had their fair share of controversial moments as well. Just look at Game 2 of the 2016 Western Conference semis. The Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs went at it in Game 2, but the Spurs were robbed by the refs thanks to a controversial no call. OKC was up by 1 with only 13.5 seconds remaining, and Dion Waiters was the man in charge of inbounding the ball. The only issue was that Manu Ginobili wasn't letting him get the ball to his teammate, so Waiters elbowed Manu in his chest. But the official didn't call the foul even though he was right there. Sure, the Spurs had a chance at the last shot despite this, but it would have been way easier to have taken 2 shots at the charity stripe instead. But hey, at least this didn't happen in an elimination game, something I can't say about this next moment. I'm talking about Game 6 of the Thunder vs. Jazz series from the 2018 playoffs. Utah was leading the series 3-2, and OKC needed the W in Game 6 to stay alive. It was a closely contested matchup as the Jazz were up by 3 points, but the Thunder had possession. Paul George had the ball in his hands with around 20 seconds left, and when he shot the potential game-tying 3-pointer, he got fouled by Rudy Gobert. Yet the refs completely ignored the obvious contact and refused to blow the whistle. PG-13 should have been sent to the free throw line for 3 shots, but instead, Utah got possession and won the game, while OKC was sent straight to Cancun. If you thought this was bad, Then let me tell you about the referees' antics in the 2019 playoffs. I mean, the Rockets were straight up robbed of winning Game 1 against the Warriors. Both teams met in the Western Conference semis, and the game was filled with terrible calls by the officials, but the ending was ridiculous. Late in the fourth quarter, Chris Paul got the steal, and soon James Harden had the ball in his hands. The Beard took one of his signature step-back threes, but he was met with a lot of contact from Draymond. Yet the refs didn't blow the whistle, even though it was a blatant foul. CP3 managed to get the offensive rebound, only for Klay to foul him. Yet the refs refused to call the foul once more. Paul was furious, so he yelled at the refs, but that made things worse as they handed him a tech and ejected him. And just like that, Houston lost a game they would have won had the officials not ignored so many obvious fouls. Unfortunately, though, this wasn't the only example of controversial officiating that favored Golden State. After all, the refs ruined LeBron's chances of winning Game 1 of the 2018 NBA Finals. Everyone remembers this game because of J.R. Smith's brain fart. But don't let that make you forget about what the referees did. The Warriors were down by 2 with around 30 seconds left, and Kevin Durant drove to the basket to get the shot off. But he crashed into King James on his way to the rim, leaving the refs confused as to whether that was a charge or a blocking foul. They first held that KD committed a charge, but they went to the replay monitors because they wanted to get the call right. After that, the refs overturned their original decision and called James for a blocking foul. This resulted in the Slim Reaper draining 2 free throws to tie the game. The biggest issue with all of this was that the refs reviewed their call, even though it was a non-reviewable one. It seemed as if the officials were dying to save the Warriors from an embarrassing loss, and I don't find that hard to believe at all. But there have been times when the referees weren't on Golden State's side. And Draymond's suspension in the 2016 NBA Finals is a prime example of this. This was the moment that changed everything for the Cavs. With less than 3 minutes left in Game 4 of the series, LeBron and Green started getting physical with each other. And then James pushed Dre to the ground. It didn't seem intentional. But Green didn't feel very forgiving, so he clapped back with a swing to the King's groin, followed by another one to LeBron's body. What's more, after the possession came to an end, he bumped into King James. The refs had seen enough and handed Dre a flagrant 1 foul, his third of the 2016 postseason. And that resulted in him getting suspended for Game 5. This hurt the Warriors big time because he was their best player in the 2016 Finals, and boy, did they feel his absence in Game 5. Golden State got absolutely embarrassed, while the Cavs had all the momentum heading into Game 6 at home. Sure enough, they won the next 2 games and completed the 3-1 comeback. Considering the fact that this was an all-important NBA Finals game, it didn't make sense for the refs to hit Green with a flagrant 1 foul. They knew handing him a third one would have resulted in his suspension and changed the landscape of the series. Yet they still went ahead and did exactly that. So from Draymond Green being suspended for Game 5 of the 2016 NBA Finals to Steph Curry throwing his mouthpiece into the crowd, those were the most controversial moments in NBA playoff history.